This episode of Dispatches from Planet Albany is brought to you with support by New York State United Teachers, which represents more than 600,000 educators and school-related professionals in New York. Dispatches is also supported by the public affairs firm O'Donnell and Associates. For more information, check out o'donnellsolutions.com.
This episode is also brought to you by Citizens for Affordable Rates. New York's car insurance costs are nearly double the national average, and state lawmakers must take action to make driving more affordable. Learn more at citizensforaffordablerates.com.
I want to be clear, I'm tier 4, but those people that have like tier 1 and tier 2, like the people that have been at like the older
they're mostly
people,
dead.
I've also declared war on potholes, so here's the first shot across the bow.
Well, as you know, with Planet Albany, there's always something that makes the planet turn.
And it's this amazing view of D.C., and Eddie Vedder comes out, and he goes, "You have a cigarette?" And I've never smoked in my life, but if I had, I wish that was the moment.
And this strategy takes us from potholes to knotholes.
I would like to say it was a pleasure, Mr. Kim. But I'm on the road.
I'm David Lombardo, and this is Dispatches from Planet Albany, a podcast about power and policy in New York State government. And because it is that wonderful time of year when anything is possible based on the ambitious plans laid out in the one-house budgets from the Democratic majorities in the state legislature, we're going to check in with Shontell Plummer, head of the New York practice for Tusk Strategies, where she is a partner, to help us make sense of what matters in these budget resolutions and what proposals may end up being part of the final budget deal with Governor Kathy Hochul. So I want to begin with the Tier 6 conversation that has grown in volume and intensity in Planet Albany, including a rally at the MVP Arena this past weekend, which attracted appearances from the governor as well as a lot of legislative leaders and state lawmakers. And now there is generic language in both one-house budget narratives about improving the benefits of the public sector hires from the last decade and a half, with the Assembly Dems going specifically out and saying we want to identify XYZ changes, whereas the Senate makes more of a generic statement. Well, a week ago, I wouldn't have thought that this gets injected into the final budget, but now I'm not so sure. How do you see this playing out, and is it something that you think is going to be addressed in a meaningful way in the one house, so addressed in a meaningful way in the final budget?
Yeah, I'm torn on this. A couple things. It's nice it's still your sponsor.
Oh, yeah. We had a fun interview with them and UFT a week ago. Yeah, I definitely put them through their paces, ask them mostly about how much does this cost? And everybody else is having recruitment and retention issues. So why should we think pensions are a big issue? And lastly, if I'm 18, I'm not thinking about my pension when I'm looking for a job. Yeah, I'm looking about my starting salary.
So I come from a family of state workers, mother, father, as we previously discussed.
I've met the extended family of future, pension beneficiaries.
So we're all state workers except for me. Because it wasn't being reported on, I was like, what is fixed tier 6? Because they've been talking about tier 6 for a while.
Years now. We have interviews from 2024 with them.
And I know tier 6 was changed in 2012. So to fix tier 6, this is what they want. They want a lower retirement age. So they want to be able to retire at 55 with 30 years of experience. They want to reduce their contributions, and they want to change it. I'm tier 4.
Wow.
You all see the glitz and the glamour. But Shontell Smith been working.
Must have been a child state worker. Yeah.
No, I was a child state worker. I actually, in my summertime, my mother worked at DHCR. In 2 summers, I would work at DHCR. And that's how I was like a PEF member and everything. I digress. They want to change the final average salary. I do my 3 highest paying salaries. And currently, I think tier 6 people is the 5 years of your highest salary. They want to remove overtime caps. That's what I think is crazy. And then they want to reduce vesting periods, whatever. My understanding is if they do what the unions want, it will cost billion. Like I heard I don't know. This is when I wish we had what's that E.J. McMahon or like Bill Hammond. Like, isn't it like $10 billion or something like that?
Well, on
If
our
you fight
show,
tier six?
the UFT president acknowledged that just for teachers alone, we're talking about $600 million annually. And it's a workforce beyond just teachers that we're talking about here. So it's in excess of $1 billion annually at the very onset. And then beyond that, I have nothing else to add. And just check out
Okay.
Ken Girardin and E.J. McMahon's tweets
Okay.
for the whole rundown.
But that gets trickled down to somebody. And it's going to get trickled down to everybody in New York State.
Sure.
We're in an affordability crisis. It's going to get trickled down to like everyday New Yorkers. Look, I'm private sector. If I want to tap into my 401k or something like that, I think it's 62. I think the reason why we changed the pension system was because in 2012, like financially, like we were not in a good place and we couldn't continue. So they say at the pace that we were at, hence why we did tier 6.
Mm-hmm. And Tier 5 also was a big cost-saving measure in the Patterson administration and gets a lot less attention, I think in part because they don't want to villainize Patterson the way everybody likes to use Cuomo as a punching bag.
I struggle with this because everyone's like, oh, Cuomo did this to us. But then they like were endorsing him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, and I'm talking past, present, like the unions were endorsing.
Sure. So I think it's important to talk about why this is the push. And it's kind of one of those things where if I'm a union like NYSET and I look around and go, well, what am I fighting for? I've gotten foundation aid. I've won every other battle. This is all there's left to fight for. And it's about finding a reason
No,
to push
they make
for
up
it.
shit. They make up shit all the time.
But that's what I mean.
They make up shit for all the. But oh, sorry for cursing.
You're
But
okay.
I just feel like we're getting at the point. Like who's going to be the adult to be like, actually, we can't afford this right now.
And who will be the adult? Because the governor was at the rally. She didn't say much
I was shocked.
substantively.
But I don't know. You know, she said, I will fight for tier 6. Who controls state employees, state agencies? So I was just like, are you like gonna change this in the budget? Are you gonna put this in the budget? Are you gonna like, what do you like? It's just interesting. Like everyone's doing this dance. It's a dance right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think the speaker's the only one that put concrete items in his one house of like how he would. Like at least he specified certain things, what they're willing to consider. You know, the Senate was like, oh, la 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 la, we wanna, yeah. I know what they're doing, so I'm not even gonna go into it. But they're like, yeah, let's talk, let's talk. And the governor's like, look at all the stuff I did for you since I became governor, but I will fight for you. Well, you're in control. I don't know what the game of kabuki is. I thought it was stupid to do a rally on a Sunday. If someone in my text thread said, if a tree falls in the forest, will anyone hear? Like, it's like, you're doing it Sunday. The members aren't even here. Maybe some bold members that have races are at your rally on Sunday, but like.
Right. A fraction of the people came up for the tax the rich thing and got more attention because it was a weekday.
Yeah, it's like, and it's just like, what was the purpose on a Sunday? I don't know if it's going to be real influence. Look, the governor has a race. Every single elected has a race. Maybe they think it's their time to shine. I think it's selfish. I hope I don't ever need it. Well, sorry, my family that work for unions, but I think it's selfish. I think right now we sitting here screaming about affordability. We don't know what's going on in the world. And then like, oh, let's just fix the pension system. And either we're all like on the same page of like what's required to get money after you've worked a certain point in time in your life. Well, I guess if you listen to the governor, she's saying we have a lot of money in reserves. So they're like, yeah, you can afford to absorb the costs and pay for pensions for a specific sector of people in the state.
You can't use reserves, though, for recurring costs like that. That's bonkers.
I agree. I don't think this is the time to do it. But everyone's running for election, so everyone wants to look. We're just in a stage of life, and we're in the stage of the legislative season where everyone is friends for everyone, and no one is an enemy to anyone.
Right. But
so I don't know.
Well, they'll do something. My prediction is there are a number of levers that need to be pulled to get Tier 6 and Tier 5 to be the equivalent to Tier 4. I think they'll do something around the margins. I think they'll pick off one of these items maybe and put that into the final budget. I think they'll say, we can't do the whole kit and caboodle, but look at this. We're continuing.
Absolutely can't do the whole kit and caboodle. And it's not fair. I'm sorry. I love my family and I love all state workers. I bust my ass just like the rest of y'all. I wake up in the morning. My husband's a state worker. He wakes up very early. He works 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I work a lot of hours. I'm not trying to like disparage state workers, but I just
But so the argument then is that Tier 6 is working just as hard as Tier 4 and should get the same benefits.
think financially we're in a different time.
Okay. Tough but fair. I want to turn now, though, to another recurring issue that is getting promoted in a different light this year because of who the mayor of New York City is, and that's...
Tax the rich.
Yes, and before you get on me about it, my preamble would be...
I'm not getting on anybody.
Okay. My preamble would be that it doesn't seem like it's a demonstrably different plan than any of the past White House budgets that propose higher taxes to fund the priorities. And I think the speaker said something that was very emblematic of how this plays out, and that he is committed to the outcomes of how that money is spent and not necessarily dedicated to how we get there. So, and I think we've seen this play out in the past. Exactly. But people don't understand that. They don't understand. For some people, that's the end goal, is the taxing of the rich and not how that money is spent. And that's mostly, obviously, the activists.
When I have worked in the legislature in the past and there was discussion about tax the rich, the thing that was always interesting to me was like, okay, like I remember one year we actually did tax the rich.
Sure, after the pandemic.
The advocates all differed on how you should spend the money once you tax the rich. Then it's like, oh, wait a minute, we're going to tax the rich and all the money goes to New York City for their issues? What about upstate? What about, these distressed hospitals in upstate New York? What about the housing crisis? What about the energy bills are soaring? What are we going to do to accommodate that? There are all these different elements. You can tax the rich, but you're not ever going to be able to pay all the social issues that these advocates want to cure. We tax the rich, that's New York City and Tier 6. Okay, and there's a whole host of other things that still need to be addressed in this world. So this year, I think because of the mayor, they think there's going to be a different emphasis on tax the rich. We've discussed this ad nauseum.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe the governor is going to pivot.
Nope.
I could be wrong.
You're not.
I just do not think she's going to pivot. And I think if people are really honest, they know the governor is not going to pivot. I think some of the One House stuff, and I hate to say this word, it's performative. One houses now are a moral statement of each houses, or
It's virtue signaling.
I don't know if it's, well, I don't know. I think it is in a perfect world how the houses would do things. But the problem is with these one houses, and I thought this when I worked here, so I just want to be very clear. This is my belief on one houses, period. It comes a point where it's kabuki, and you're disappointing members and you're disappointing advocates. And when you go into the negotiation room, they say, okay, Senate, what's your priority? Well, I have these 67 parts, and I want to tax every single thing, and I want to do all these fees. Like, what is real? What is not real? How do you differentiate? And how do you have meaningful negotiations? When you, like, I've been using this term lately. I think my husband has been using it, so I'm using it. It's like, you're a friend to everyone, you're a foe to no one. Like, it's just like, if everything's a priority, nothing's a priority.
Sure.
That's where I feel like with these budgets. And I don't think that we're going to get taxing the rich. Maybe you'll get a corporate tax, but I don't think we're going to get a corporate tax either. I just don't see taxing the rich happening now. I always maintain they're going to wait to see what happens as a result of the federal bill and see how they are financially and then go from there.
If the legislative leaders can come back to their members and say, well, we were hoping to spend a little extra money on this, that, and the other thing, and the governor has made some extra money available, then I think at the end of the day they say, okay, well, that's enough, and I guess we'll have to drop our push for increased taxes, and there's going to be some members who bitch and moan about it on the floor, but that's how it plays out because that's how it generally plays out.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tale of all time. People are going to want to tax, and there's going to be protests, and there's going to be sleep-ins, and there's going to be buses of people that come for the next 6 weeks or a month, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever.
You
I
just
don't know
made
when
some
this.
people freak out when you said 6 more weeks.
We're in the beginning of March. I mean,
That's late April.
no, that's mid-April.
6 weeks, 4 weeks would be April 11th, and so
Baby, if
six
you,
weeks
sorry, I
would
don't mean to
be
call you baby, but if you think this budget's going to be done April 11th, yeah, then you know what? Let me get on, was it Polymarket and Cashy
mm-hmm,
and start, someone set up a bet on this. No way.
tough but fair.
I think it'll be timely. I don't think it will be May, but I think it'll be like somewhere in April.
Okay.
I'm hoping it's April 15th. But yeah, we'll see.
What do you have booked around April 15th?
I ain't got nothing. Don't ask my business. Stay out my business. Thank you.
Some challenges need someone who simply won't quit. Modern advocacy brings tenacity, strategy, and unwavering follow-through to every client it serves. Learn more at modernadvocacyllc.com. So one of the other recurring things is the Assembly's aversion to addressing policy in the budget, including things that they, which you like, including
That's
things
me
that they might
clapping.
otherwise support. The
That's
quote
me
from
clapping.
the speaker is basically, we don't put policy in our one house that doesn't have a fiscal impact. I'm curious how that might have played out historically with budget negotiations.
It was annoying. It was when I was there, I couldn't appreciate it because at the time, I always wanted to put policy in the budget when I
Mm-hmm.
was there because I had marginal members, I had the Long Island Six. I just had stuff I had to do that it was easy to put in a big ugly or an omnibus than like having standalone votes. So for me, Shontell the person, add the policy. Give me more policy, add it. Especially if it's controversial policy that my members felt uncomfortable taking votes for. It was this hard. It was this hard. Shontell, the lobbyist slash consultant, as I'm staying up waiting for these bills to be amended. And then all day yesterday, I'm reading and reading. And it's like, where are all these new parts? Why? This is what bothers me. It bothers me now because it's just like it's a bunch of new parts, which I have no problem doing my job and working. But I know 75% of the new parts aren't going to make it into the final budget. I don't think it's virtual signaling. I think it's just like a position paper that I'm reading, but I don't have to retain and I don't have to care about except after this one day.
When you're looking at policy in the one house and specifically in the Senate, because the Assembly stays out of that game, are you primarily doing that to get a sense of where you need to play defense, particularly? Because I can't imagine you're ever like surprised by your own stuff potentially making it into the one house. You know whether that's going to happen or not. There's been a
You don't
lawmaker.
know if your stuff is, but I just want to be.
They're not coming back to report to Shontell. Shontell, I got bad news.
Please,
We couldn't get it
please.
done in the
Let
fun
me
house.
tell you, I text someone. It wasn't like my friends that work in government, but I text someone that worked in government, and I was like, "Hey, do you know if my policy thing will be in this?" Just thinking maybe they'd give me a little something. They gave me the like hands up like shrug emoji. So then I text them and I was like, "I'm friends with this person. Give a dog a bone." That person said, "And you'll find your way home." And then I was just like, all right, like I'm just a common lobbyist, just a little peasant girl.
Sure.
I don't have connections. So maybe other people are getting like, hey, this is what we're doing in the budget. I do not get that. So I have to wait just like everybody else, and I have to do my work. Sometimes I'm surprised. I'm like, oh, I lobbied that. All right, that made it in. Yes. Or I lobbied against that. Oh, that didn't make it in. Yes. But it's like you never know. You might get some virtual signaling from like maybe a member will be like, sorry, try again next
Mm-hmm.
year. But like you would think someone who helped worked at the Senate, dedicated 15 years of her life at the Senate, helped from the minority to the majority, would get some like nothing, Nada. Zilch. So.
Well, my experience has been we've had guests in the assembly come on and just give us a laundry list of, okay, this is going to be in, this is going to be in, this is going to be in.
Really? That's how they do it in the assembly?
And then we have Senate Democrats who will come on and couch things in the most cautious terms of like, while the one house is not out yet,
Wait a minute,
I
hold on, wait.
will
You're
say.
telling me.
We did an interview with Andrew Hevesy. This is an on-the-record interview. This is people can listen to this, and he's like, "This is what's going to be in there on child care. This is what's going to be here. This is what's going to be here." And then we taped with Senator Salazar, who, when we started talking about prison stuff, was very cautious on the air to only say, "Well, historically, the Senate Dems have prioritized, this in the corrections space." And so the Senate Dems are much more regimented, and I think that pertains to just the leaks in general out of that house, because they're tougher to get stuff from when it has to do with conference.
Yes. I think, we had leaks. I always say we had leaks a lot, like 2019, 2020, 21, 22, but, it's never to the degree of the leaks in the assembly.
Like posting video of their conference.
Yeah. It's interesting that the assembly member Hevesy was like, yeah, this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. I've lobbied people in the assembly and I don't get like, oh yeah, we're going to do this. We're not going to do that. I get if there's an issue, which with the assembly, they're very policy focused. Like if you're coming to them in non-budget stuff, like if you're coming to them for budget stuff, like, hey, funding, if it's something they support, they don't have any questions. They just look at you and they just nod and hear you, which maybe you can signal that it's happening. But at the end of the session, you meet with the Assembly Central staff, they have questions and issues. So I don't know. I think the Senate just tries to be a little bit more guarded.
I think it also depends on who you're talking to, though, because if you're a member in either house who's really plugged in, because you know that there are some members who are on top of this. They're bothering staff. They know what's happening, and then other ones.
Hold on. Oh, do I?
And then there's other ones who are kind of checked out, and so who are going to give maybe coy responses about what's in, because in part they have no idea. They're just along for the ride.
I think it's easier to say what's going to happen in the one house. Mm-hmm. Let's be honest. What doesn't go in the one house?
What did go in the one house is changes to the CLCPA, some that the governor may be pushing, and I'm curious how you see that playing out, because I think she's going to get something.
And this is a serious question, and this
is a serious show for serious adults.
Everyone is looking at not the same bill, but everyone's seeing the increased prices in their heating bills. There's nobody that can say they haven't seen an increase in their heating. How do people think we're going to resolve this? I have to be very careful because I worked on the CLCPA. So I just don't know how you resolve an issue with heating and electricity and all that stuff. You have a federal government that doesn't want you to put resources into solar or offshore wind, and it's not helping the dynamic. We have increased bills. I spoke to a member that said, quote unquote, we are at war with PSC. I think there's only so much that PSC can control. So it's how do you think we're going to navigate out of this issue with heat and electricity?
Well, you and I are both not energy experts on this. Marie French is not here with us right now. But what I am interested in is how you play this out if you're the governor, because I'm not saying one policy is right or wrong. What I'm curious in is what actually happens. And I think she does get something. Right?
She gets something. That governor will hold up this whole damn place.
Sure.
Let me tell you what she's going to get something on. She's going to get something on the insurance stuff. Mm-hmm. And I do believe she will. See, I'm speaking very familiar with you right now. She is going to get something on definitely the energy stuff.
Yep.
She's going to run. The governor is going to run on, I'm making New York cheaper for you. And she can say, hey, look what I did. I did this. This is going to lower your insurance bills. I know insurance is too damn high. I did this. Hey, this is going to decrease your energy bill. Energy's too high. That's what she's going to run on.
There are two issues that people understand. They are not these hard to grasp concepts.
Yeah. don't know if people, I don't think the everyday New Yorkers like that damn CLCP. Hey, that's the reason
No.
why he's high. So I don't think anyone's blaming that.
No, but they think more generally of this idea of Albany impacting costs. And if she can say, I'm
Well, I
addressing
just,
Albany's rules and regulations, I think that is something that connects with people.
sometimes Albany passes bills and there's unintended consequences. Like right now, I'm trying to change a light bulb up in this like fancy little chandelier thing I got. And I can't because New York State no longer makes the light bulbs are
You
the
need me
type
to
of
talk
things.
to a guy like in Pennsylvania?
Oh, I'm gonna reach out to the company and be like, look, I live in New York State, which has now become the People's Republic of New York, and I can't get a light bulb. So can I get it from somewhere else? Do I have to buy it in Europe? Like, because it's too dim. What do you think the governor's wins are going to be for budget?
Yeah, I think it's going to be on car insurance. I think she's going to get a change on the
But I
CLC.
don't think she's going to get full car insurance. I
Doesn't matter.
don't think. Okay.
She's going to claim some victory there. She's going to claim some victory on energy bills in the context of the CLCPA. And I think, the child
She's
care
not going
thing.
to tax the rich. She's
You're right.
not
I
going
think
to tax the
I
rich.
I think she'll be promoting the child care thing. I don't think that's up for debate. Like that's an issue she's going to get. I think that'll be one of the big things she pushes. I mean, I think those are the three things from this budget that she pushes, and maybe some of the stuff about minors and their online experience, because that is a continuation of a narrative that she's been pushing. What with the minors on and that algorithm issue. So I can't imagine anything else is like narratively what she's pushing.
Okay, we have 2.5 minutes. What was the craziest thing you saw on the one houses? I will tell you, when the Senate wanted to put a machine in your car if you're a constant speeder,
Hmm.
lock me up in the People's Republic of
Oh
Albany and
no!
throw me the keys.
Should I let Andrew Gennardis know you're a problem driver?
Well, in New York City, I'm not
Okay.
because I've learned the hard way that there are cameras everywhere. And I'm a woman of a certain age, so I don't speed. But sometimes I have to get to like a lobbyist meeting. I won't speed, but I may put my pedal not to the metal, but just I like to play a game where I'm like 5 mile, like I'm just like a little bit over the speed limit. Not a lot, but just like a little bit.
Well, I'm no expert on this legislation, but I think being just a little bit over is not going to be a problem.
No, 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 no. And then they're gonna lock up all their city council friends because don't like all those city council members have a bunch of like speeding tickets. Like I won't name names, but like a couple were like aired out for speeding tickets.
Placard
So
abuse, parking issues. Everybody's got some driving problems in New York City.
man,
The only thing
that's
that
why
surprised me was that everybody's on board with the Zyn tax. I was a little surprised by that getting into both houses.
the Zyn tax is the vape tax.
No, this is the nicotine pouches. This is what the white millennial guys are packing in their lips these days. The Zyn pouches. The governor
Oh,
pushed a
I know
tax on that.
tons of people that do that.
Well,
That's
gonna
like
cost
bad.
more.
No, like why would you tax that? See, this is like where we're becoming like what are we? Hey, smoke weed, buy weed, drink weed, do weed all you want, but nicotine's bad. Drink till your heart's like drink till you pass out of alcohol poisoning, but nicotine, like if one thing's bad, then everything's bad. But the People Republic of Albany, here we are. So, let me go look for my light bulb and just calm myself down.
Thank you, Shontell. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Way to be on one.
Bye. Dan Clark put his utility bill up on Twitter and that blew up. Like people were like, what? I mean, that's a high utility bill.